Good evening. Thank you for joining us. We're going to start with the pledge and then go into our business meeting. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. You all right?
Yeah.
Okay. So, as was stated last week, I'm going to do, which I have done for the past couple of years, a overview state of the village. It will not be as exciting, as animated, as much fun as earlier this week when the governor of New York did her state of the state address, which was quite lovely. It's worth watching and very detailed and long. Mine is shorter, as powerful, but shorter. Just a few announcements. We're going into Martin Luther King long weekend. Obviously, all of the offices in the village are closed, but a few announcements. There are a lot of activities throughout the community. Please be on the lookout. And here's some to share with you. The annual Interfaith Celebration open to all of the community for Dr. Martin Luther King Day service, Sunday, January 18th, starts at 5 p.m., usually goes to about 7 at Star of Bethlehem. All are welcome. Many of us will be there, so hope that you're able to attend that. There is our own youth Bureau of Kids and Youth Community Center folks are going to be celebrating the day as well, playing basketball on Saturday. It's at White Plains, though. They rotate the schools they're at, so you could look at the Youth Bureau calendar, et cetera, et cetera. Also on Sunday, January 18th, our very own deputy mayor will be on a panel with our very own historian at 7:30 p.m. Beyond the Dream, a community discussion. It's offered by the Ossining branch of the NAACP. And the panelists are Mr. Rob Abbott, historian Joshua Rockall, our village historian, Ms. Nicole Hines, Ms. Latoya Langley, Deputy Mayor Omar Lopez, yay, Dr. Martin McDonald, County Legislator Emiliano Ulai, and it will be moderated by the Reverend Jones. Again, location Star of Bethlehem, 304 Spring Street. So lots of fun stuff, and there's a lot more going on for Martin Luther King Day. So please be on the lookout for that.
So just so folks are clear, at Star of Bethlehem, 5 p.m. is the service, 7:30 p.m. is the panel. So you can come and stay
for 4 hours.
It'll go by like this.
Bringing a snack.
Or you can come and go if you live locally. So, I wanted to just make a few comments, for the public record, etc. Did you put that up there like that? Okay, I'm going to read off my computer. And it's really on behalf of myself. It's also, I think, on behalf of a very hardworking board who are very fortunate to serve this village. And we will post it on the website. So I just wanted to wish everybody a good evening and thank you for being here. I wanted to start by saying how grateful I am to our residents, our village staff, our many volunteers, our businesses, my colleagues on board of trustees, and overall the Ossining community that always shows up. The simple message of tonight's State of the Village is this: Ossining is moving forward and we're doing it responsibly, thoughtfully, equitably, and together. To start with, fiscal responsibility. Let me begin with the basics, how we manage your tax dollars. This year, the village board adopted a $65.84 million budget that stays within the New York state tax cap and reduces the tax rate for the 5th year in a row. It's a big deal. Many municipalities were not able to meet that this year because costs have escalated unexpectedly. Many surprises, but we're fortunate enough that we have maintained a very conservative budget. This means that we are protecting taxpayers while still investing in services, infrastructure, and quality of life for our residents. and this balance matters. We really look at the idea of vision to action downtown. For decades, Ossining talked about revitalizing our downtown. Today, we're doing it. We broke ground on the multimodal transportation hub, the first major project of our downtown revitalization initiative. When it's completed in early 2027, it will provide more than 200 parking spaces, e-bike access, green spaces, which are the foundation for a stronger, more vibrant downtown. This project is not just about parking. It's about enabling the next generation of downtown growth. We are investing in sustainable infrastructure. Strong communities are built on strong infrastructure. We approved construction of a new water treatment plant, a generational investment that will ensure clean, safe drinking water for decades to come. At the same time, we are advancing the Route 9 road diet, which will calm traffic, improve pedestrian safety, add street parking, and reconnect parts of our village that were divided long ago by urban renewal. These projects fix what was broken and prepare us for the future. We're creating spaces that bring people together, very appropriate for something that will come up later in this meeting. Through state and DRI funding, we're investing in places that build community. That includes a new Market Square Plaza, performance space, adjacent project like the Opera House, renovations and improvements that respect Ossining's historic character while embracing sustainability. These are the kind of spaces where community life happens. Reinvesting in the community center. The Caputo Community Center is the heart of Ossining, and we're treating it that way. We've already completed major upgrades to the pool, locker rooms, roof, and HVAC system. And in 2026, we'll break ground on a $2.5 million full building modernization funded through the DRI. This center serves everyone, from seniors to families to young people, and it deserves that investment. Once we're completed, Trustee Dana White promises that she will be going to the community center on a more regular basis. Housing that reflects our values. Housing remains one of the most important challenges facing our community and really our region, frankly, most of this country. And we are taking a proactive approach. At 30 Water Street, we are transforming a former DPW site into 109 affordable apartments with community and commercial space, turning an underutilized property into a place people can call home. On Croton Avenue, Crescent Manor, Ossining will deliver 74 affordable senior apartments, create 159 construction jobs, and preserve a site with deep community history. In addition, we have brought developers to the table to reimagine a long-standing desolate industrial property on State Street, creating opportunities for affordable homeownership and new rental housing, breathing new life into a site that has sat dormant for far too long. In the heart of downtown, Spring and Main will add new housing above ground floor retail, increasing residential density where it makes sense. Steps on the transit, shops, and services, supporting our businesses while strengthening the fabric of Main Street. Together, these projects ensure Ossining remains a community where people can buy a home, rent an apartment, raise a family, and age in place, all within the village they love. Safer streets and better mobility. We are making Ossining easier and safer to get around, from Project Mover e-bikes to multimodal parking near downtown and commuter hubs. We're expanding transportation options that support walkability, reduce congestion, and improve daily life. Safety with trust and accountability speaks to public safety works best when it's built on trust. We implemented the Police Reform Collaborative, incorporating hundreds of resident voices, strengthened the civilian oversight through the Civilian Police Complaint Review Board, and negotiated a new police contract, the first in a number of years. These steps support both accountability and stability, supporting those who serve, all of us. We also stood up for the people who protect us. This board approved LOSAP, a long overdue pension benefit for our volunteer firefighters. Voters supported it by an overwhelming majority because they understand the value of service and sacrifice. We continue and propel investing in our young people. Through the creation of Ossining's Youth Bureau, we delivered 13 programs serving more than 400 young people last year. Every student who applied for a summer job received one. Middle school after-school participation increased by 25%. Programs that include STEM, workforce readiness, sports, mentoring, advocacy, and financial literacy. That's how you invest in the future. Picture is of the kids from last year advocating and learning how to speak to their elected officials at state level. They will be doing that again early in February, and I'll actually be there this year with them. Standing for inclusion and dignity. We also reaffirmed Ossining's values by passing a resolution prohibiting our police department from assisting in ICE detentions, because public safety depends on trust and dignity for everyone who calls Ossining home. Finally, I want to recognize the power of civic engagement in Ossining. More than 13 volunteer boards and committees help shape village policy on everything from the environment and historic preservation to youth services and budgeting. That participation strengthens our democracy and our decisions. Ossining is not standing still. I think we can agree that we are moving forward. We are correcting past mistakes, investing wisely in building a village that is more connected, greener, more accessible, more equitable, and more resilient. I'm proud of what we've accomplished together and even more excited about where we're going. I thank everyone involved in this for being part of all of this movement forward. Thank you to you guys, staff, and everyone else again. Thanks. I'll take that. All right. We're in a business that I think concludes also all of our part of it. And now we're going to hear from the village manager, correct?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. A lot of exciting things going on. So a little bit more information tonight on the community center redesign. We have Drazen Kakovic from DCAK MSA Architecture, who is here to present, to provide an update on the status of where we are, and also present some design concepts for the finishings, the flooring, countertops, lighting, other things that will be incorporated in the final design once we do the community center. So with that, I'd like to invite Drazen up, and we will queue up his presentation, Jamie.
Oh,
Yeah, you can. Yeah, no problem. This is a high-class operation here.
good evening, Madam Mayor, members of the board.
Good evening.
So I'm glad to present to you for the second time now. We presented at the beginning of the project and now at the end of the design phase of the project. We are a few weeks away from being able to go to bid. The drawings are nearly 100%, waiting for your input and any comments that the village administration may have. Tonight's presentation, and we can flip to the next slide, is really just an overview of the major changes. On the left, you see the before slide. On the right, you see the after slide. You see the floor plan. And you're looking at the lower level, the first floor. The major change, is to describe it, on the left, there are no pointers, are there?
No.
Okay. On the left, you see that there's a lot of small spaces. Those of you who are familiar with the center will know that there are a lot of small spaces around the entrance. And we are eliminating all of those and creating a large open lobby that you see on the right-hand side with a new stairway that will lead straight to the second floor. That's the major change. And then if you go to the next slide, please. Oh, okay. So this is just a furniture plan in case everybody's wondering. So you see on the upper right corner, you see the large open room, which will remain that way with seating and tables. And down on the bottom, you see a potential arrangement. On the left side, you see a potential arrangement for the meetings, lectures, and so on. Next slide, please. Here you see the upper floor plans, again, before and after. On the left, lower left corner is the former museum. that will be turned into a large open multi-use space. Just to remind you, throughout this design effort, we attempted to eliminate the small spaces that were not very functional, create large spaces, not for very specific use, but for multi-uses, so they can be used one way in the morning, a different way in the afternoon. We also attempted to open it up so that you can see as much as possible from one end to the other. So we have a lot of new glass walls introduced rather than opaque or concrete block walls. Next slide, please. And again, this is just the furniture arrangement. There are also some changes to the offices. We are eliminating most of the single person use offices and creating an open office space. Next slide, please. So here and behind me on the wall, you see the finishes throughout the public areas. In the middle, you see what we would refer to as a vinyl plank, wood-looking vinyl plank, which will be the flooring that will happen in most of the center, with the accents in some areas, which I will describe in a moment. On the top, you see the wood ceiling, which is acoustical wood ceiling, which will happen in some target areas. And then you see some other finishes that I will refer to as we go through the presentation. On the next board here, you see again the ceilings. You see the carpet, which is proposed for some areas. Thank you for changing that, yes. And then you see some super graphics that will be introduced in select spaces. And finally, on the third board of finishes, you see the office finishes. And that is a little bit more subdued scheme, appropriate for an office space. So if we can go to the next slide, please. So here you see the use of the materials throughout the center. Now, this is the first floor plan. Everything that is white is going to be vinyl plank flooring that I described to you here. And then in the lounge area in the upper left corner, you see an accent. We proposed 3 different colors depending on the village. That would be also vinyl plank, but in a different color to highlight the little bit different use of the lounge. Below that, you see the entry mat, which goes in. The entry mat is here on this board. And then below that, everything that's blue would be carpet. And the carpet you see over here. So our carpet would appear in an oval, which is a seating arrangement in a public area, and then in the youth center on the bottom, as well as in the senior offices in the center. Next slide, please. Here you see the ceilings for the same areas. So just to kind of describe it, this is a little bit difficult to read. What is brown is the wood ceiling, which you saw there. What is grid is the acoustical ceiling. And everywhere else, we're trying to open the ceiling entirely to the structure above to gain as much height as we can. Next slide. Over here, you see the second floor finishes. Again, whatever is white is vinyl plank flooring, wood looking. In the bathrooms, you will receive this lively terrazzo-like ceramic tile. Again, blue is the carpet area, and then we have an entry mat at the second floor entrance and Section 8 entrance. Next slide, please. And here again, the second floor ceilings will have some wood ceilings in critical areas, some acoustical ceilings, and then many open spaces. Next slide, please. These are a little bit difficult to read, but that's the courtyard outside. So the courtyard will have multiple functions. It will have seating area, it'll have a bocce court, and it'll have a pergola. Next slide. And here you see some of the finishes. You see pergola in the upper corner. You see the playground on the bottom. Next slide, please. And then here we have some AI-generated images of what the spaces would look like before and after. You probably would know which one is before. Most of you are familiar with the center, and the other one that you're not familiar is after. So here you see the second floor corridor, and that has glass exterior wall, glass roof, and it would be changed in such a way that we put new vinyl plank flooring, and on the right-hand side, you see the super graphics. That's nothing else but wallpaper on the wall. Next slide, please. Over here, you see the commonly referred art room on the second floor. So you see we introduced a new acoustical ceiling, wood, and then a change in the exterior wall leading to the courtyard. We're trying to open this up and making courtyard as friendly and easily accessible as possible. Obviously, new flooring as well. Next slide, please. Here is just the change in finishes in what was previously referred to as the music room and now wellness room. New flooring, new color on the walls. Next slide, please. And here is the image of the recreation room on the first floor, space where many people frequently meet in. You see the image in the upper left corner of more or less where it is now and what it will become. The main change is, again, removal of acoustical tile ceiling, making the space taller, new lighting, new wall finish, and new floor finish in the space. So the bulk of the changes, and thank you, this is the last slide tonight, but it is sometimes not easy to present this because a lot of this is the changes in finishes, changes in lighting. It is not like we're building a new building. If I can show you the rendering of this. But I will try to present these images as best as we can, but please go ahead with any questions you may have.
I mean, truthfully, this is the easiest presentation anybody can make because it all looks better than what it looks like now. So it's all better. The lighting, the everything, the flooring. I think we've talked about access to fixing things, changing light bulbs. Sometimes architects get really fancy, and then the poor person that has to change the light bulbs can't get to them because the ceiling is so nice and fancy. I went to look at some of the projects where that was actually the number one complaint when you have to change the carpeting and how you do that. So my understanding is that a lot of what you guys thought out actually takes that into account, and I'm very appreciative of that because the reality is it's a place that's open 7 days a week, multi-generational. Everything seems to be exactly what we all discussed. Things have to be movable, multi-generational, multi-usable. Acoustic tiles will be very helpful there. There's a humidity issue because of the pool, which I understand has been taken in. So it looks great, Dana. I'm gonna have to join you. It's not just you that's gonna use this community center more. I may have to actually use it more. But thank you for bringing all this. And I know you're doing community engagement on all of these things and already have. We want to start on the right, Dana. You want to start us off?
Yeah, it looks great. How are you going to, are we talking about how we're going to do this in phases yet and kind of how that's going to work and where you might start? And is that, are we getting ahead of ourselves there or is that?
No, that's a very important question. And I wish Bill was here because he was the author of the phasing. Oh,
We actually were just discussing that this via email this week, so.
Can you please put your microphone on? Thank you.
We're just discussing this week and Bill has put together a recommendation. So Bill, I know is on, but he's on mute, so we'll just assume like he's quieting a barking dog or something, but
Here I am.
There he is.
there he is. Bill, maybe you can talk, Trustee White was asking about the phasing and you had just put together a recommendation for DCIK on that, so.
Yeah, so what I'm, taking a look at everything, what I was thinking is if we started with the upper floor, everything except the art room, and getting all that done, and then having 3 phases, and then the second phase would be the downstairs, and then the third phase would be like the art room and the courtyard perhaps. So I think that would work, just because the upper floor is going to open up the existing museum room.
Museum room. Phil, you're like sort of fading in and out.
The upper room, the museum room is going to open up an existing
Yeah,
program.
not hearing a microphone or something.
Karen, we can't hear you.
All right, I'm sorry. Bill, you're
Okay.
sort of like fading out.
Sorry.
Okay. So the upper room, the
The upper
museum
room.
room.
The museum room is going to turn into a larger program room, which is going to give us more space. So when we do the downstairs room, like the multi-purpose room, the seniors could move upstairs. So I think that's going to give us the best option for the department.
So it's a little hard to hear, but the concept is we have so much unused space in the museum room. If we tackle that first, we have an enormous amount of space to move people to that's not being used now. So that's going to make it easier to run the programming and get the job done.
And the last piece, it sounded like, will be the outside.
Yeah, the art room and the outside. And hopefully, we'll probably, by the time we go out to bid and get the contractors aligned, we're looking at a late spring, early summer start date. And some of the work, like if we can sort of get through a lot in the summer when we're not dependent on having after school programs in the center, those are the things we want to be conscious of. The
Right.
things like if we disrupted would really, not just like you couldn't go swimming, but like now you have to worry about after school care, things like that. So we're looking to make sure we can mitigate, as little disruption to the essential programs as possible.
Yes.
Because the pool area is not affected.
The pool area will be usable
gym.
throughout there's some work in the gym because the plans do incorporate making the stage area into a storage area, but that's not going to be significant long-term work. It's really the rest of the center. And then Drazen, maybe you can speak, obviously if you shut down the center and do all the work, it's going to get done quicker and potentially less money. However, it would be shut down probably for close to a year and that is really not something we can do. So maybe you can talk a little bit about how we're going to work with the contractor ultimately to prioritize things with
Right.
Bill's plan in mind.
So that was a good question because we do need to tell contractor, okay, you'll do it in phases or not, because that will affect their pricing. And we will give them the preliminary staging plan so that they know what we are planning, but we will ask for their input because they may have some other suggestions that may be very valuable for us. They're always interested in where do I bring the materials in? How do the workers get in? How do your people get in? And so on. I think Bill's plan to start with with a second floor plan and have access to the second floor first. And they just work on the second floor. First floor is unaffected, is a very good one. Then you move all of the operations to the second floor. You renovate the first floor, and then you finalize with the stage and with the art room.
So the stairway would, because you're going to punch in a new stairway, right? That'll be when you do the first floor, probably, right?
We would have to
So you're going to have to start punching it through.
Yeah,
probably.
we may
Yeah.
want to do that in the first phase,
Yeah.
cut it through, and then just temporarily wall it off.
Right.
And that's not too difficult because there is a room there that is hardly used now. So it's relatively easy to remove that floor.
Is the Croton Aqueduct exhibit staying?
Croton Aqueduct, we've already talked with Linda Cooper and Steve Oakes from the Croton Aqueduct and Parks, New York State Parks. We'd like to repurpose some of it. So some of it we may use within the center in more public areas, like so maybe in the lounge area or things like that. We also may take some of the stuff and translate it to our museum in the street concept around the multimodal site, because we are looking at the art scrim. They would very much like the art scrim to reflect the aqueduct and
That's right
double
there.
arches and everything. So I think that we have had several conversations with Linda Cooper and Steve Oakes about that, and that's something that we will continue to do. And I'll make sure you're aware, and if the placemaking committee wants to weigh in too. But there is definitely an opportunity to also highlight the aqueduct in a way that creates more of visibility of the Sing Sing Hill walkway
Mhm.
too. So there's a lot of really good outdoor assets that we're not necessarily working on, but it is an opportunity to highlight them as we complete the center and the multimodal site.
So that's yes, it is. The stuff's moving, but it'll be repurposed to different areas.
Yeah, similar to what we're doing with the Prism Museum stuff.
So gurgling stuff?
Yeah, with the gurgling sound, we're gonna amplify that in the parking. No, that's
The gurgling sound is my favorite.
We might keep that in the. I don't know what we'll do with the gurgling sound. We'll figure it out.
Hi.
Oh.
Thank you for the presentation. My question to start is about the inspiration behind the choices that you made, both practical and stylistic.
So that's a good one. So with the flooring,
Thank you.
The flooring which we selected is a rather popular flooring these days. It's pleasant, it's warm, and it's easy to clean, which is
No, not
for
me,
your
the
staff.
flooring.
The ceilings.
It's true, but I'm pleasant and warm, easy to clean. Go on, please. I'll mute myself.
That's all right. The ceilings, as you see, many of them are going away just because we wanted to increase the height, make it a little bit more modern, a little bit more contemporary. And the rest of the ceilings, the primary emphasis was really the acoustics, because once you remove the acoustical task ceiling, you get a lot of reverberation and space echo. And so we are using the wood ceiling to control this. We're using light fixtures, which have the perimeter of the light fixture is lighting the space. The interior of the light fixture contains the acoustical material for that purpose. And also, when we are removing completely the ceiling, we will be putting acoustical panels between the bar joists, the metal structure that's there. So that was the selection in the ceilings. The walls, as I told you, we used glass wall whenever it was appropriate, so that you have the transparency. You come in, but you can look into a room there, or you look to the left, to the right. You see the Achima's youth center, and you can look into this. You can see the students at the desks and so on. And then finally, the super graphics. We found super graphics to be rather effective way to engage the people. They pay attention to this. They see it. It really animates the space. Now, we have chosen the super graphics of the birch grove and some abstract graphics that we found, which we hope will last some time. There's always a danger that they may date after a while. We could consider Ossining images as well. I probably wouldn't use the arch over arch as much as it is a beautiful motif, but it's right out there, so why use it then? But there are many other images that we can use, and we're looking for your and the public's input for this.
That makes a ton of sense. I would love something Ossining specific, and so let's get the creative brains going on that.
I mean,
Yeah, I'm not anti-birch,
uh,
but I'm pro Ossining. Are you anti-Ossining? You tell me. Okay.
Rhetorical, I know. Sorry. So sorry, what was our witty repartee? Can we repeat that? Never mind. What was I saying? Yeah, I don't mind but maybe in the cafe area, or maybe, selectively some Ossining images.
Nice.
They could be historic or new or both or whatever.
Absolutely.
I think it's a good place for the placemaking committee.
Well, maybe this is lame and you can tell me to shut up, but maybe there's a way to include the community with this by suggesting images or even offering images they've taken or some sort. I don't know, but whatever. But yes, I agree with you.
Yeah. That makes a lot of sense. Anything else that you would name in terms of the color schemes or anything else? Were you choosing between one thing or another? How did you land on these particular colors?
So as it so often happens when we do the design like this, the base color is usually a little bit more neutral color, and then more punchier colors are chosen to draw your attention to animate a space. And that is really how we design many spaces, including here. for example, on the upper left here, you see the abstract graphics that we thought would be placed behind the stairway on the exterior wall there. And then on the wall right next to this, which you see kind of drawn here with the new stairway, we would use this color, which is kind of a bright, punchy color, but it is next to the brick wall. So it goes well with the brick wall. So there's always a thought put into this. And I could go over all of these if you wish, but stay here for a while. But
Yeah.
there is always a thought behind why some images are chosen.
That is helpful. The last piece on my end is desire. This is more for the staff, but if we can take a lot of photos and videos of before, because we'll certainly have the after, but it's always nice to be able to say, hey, here's what this space looked like before and after. Because even in the before and after images here, if you know the space, then you can conceptualize it. But for folks that haven't, having many different angles and things could be quite helpful. So thank you.
Sure.
Good evening. Thank you. Just a couple of questions. The carpet, are we doing carpet tile or flat carpet?
Carpet top.
Carpet tile, okay. Good. And just making mental note in my head, you're removing a lot of ceilings. So is the air conditioning in there compatible to serve with the extra square footage now that you're adding with less ceilings?
So there are a couple of answers to that. The areas where there's a lot of HVAC ducts will receive new ceiling, either acoustical tile ceiling or wood ceiling, specifically because there's a mishmash of all sorts of devices up there and not necessarily pretty to look at. The spaces that have relatively few ducts, those are the spaces that we are opening up because they already look relatively good. We are making relatively few changes to the we're making only few changes to the ductwork to keep the costs down, except where we have to, in order to address the volume of the air,
Right.
or the speed of the air delivery.
Understandable. Then any exposed duct, is that going to be like a spiral duct or a?
We're using, in most cases, we're reusing your existing ducts.
Okay.
Just a few places we are putting new ducts, and those are not spiral. We really don't have them anywhere else. So we said, you know what, if everything else is square, why bother with one or two spiral ducts?
Understandable. And I'm going to put the crystal ball out there. What do you estimate a timeline? If everything, forget starting when we start, just an overall timeline, 1 year, 18 months, I don't know.
18 months is a reasonable period of time. If we don't run into any issues that are unexpected, 18 months is a good period of time. It could be completed in less than a year if it was all done at once, but because of the phasing, it will take a little longer.
Okay, thank you.
Go ahead. This is an inside joke. You got to be here to appreciate what's going on. The cinder block walls, will that surface stay, or are you going to cover it with something?
In most cases, it's getting covered. I believe the only place where it stays is inside the stairway that we are leaving.
Okay, good.
Everywhere else, we're going to flatten it out first and then apply either a new finish or a wallpaper or something like this.
I love cinder block, but it does make it feel like your fourth grade elementary school that you went to.
Sure.
So, anyway, thanks.
As far as security cameras and stuff that may be installed, has that all been taken into account? And we're okay. And so it's not going to be an afterthought. And sound systems, I'm not sure we even need them anymore, like a PA, like any way to make sure, because now you could just use very small microphones everywhere. My thought process is, will there be one big room? Because once in a while we have big events in there, and the systems, or when you're doing Zoom or whatever, is just pretty awful because we use basically the basketball court, and the sound is just terrible in there.
I'm sorry, Jesse and Jamie. We have had a meeting with our security people, as well as our the people who would be doing the alarm systems, everything else. So during that meeting, we talked about the audiovisual capacities of the room. So when we use the biggest room, is still going to be the gymnasium. That doesn't really change. We'll have other rooms that we can use, but for large gatherings, it's going to remain the gymnasium. And we are making considerations to maybe get some AV specialists involved probably soon to just determine what we might need, because that's a hard room acoustically, but there may be things we can do to improve it. And then, we also talked about having, movable projection screens and just better equipment to do that type of stuff, which, again, some of this is budget. Will be depending on the budget, but a lot of these things can be incorporated, within a short time after we phase in. We really want to make sure that the security cameras was a big issue. We had the police department involved in that as well. The alarm systems, things like that. But that we are thinking of the ability to do a better job at if we wanted to show a movie or we want to have some sort of event where we have improved acoustical capabilities.
Okay, and thank you. A comment just for consideration. We have special needs kids. These LED lights, these are old ones, but the ones you're putting in, my experience has been in newer construction, they're overused. There are too many of them. They're especially disruptive to kids with autism and sight issues, but autistic kids especially. So I'm assuming there are going to be lots and lots of zones of lighting that can be turned on and off, and that you're going to be thinking through the LED lighting because they're amazingly strong. They're also very harsh for seniors, by the way. And so I don't know if you guys have studied that, but it's something that should be looked at as we redo this whole thing.
So most of the rooms will have adjustable level of lighting. You would need that for any number of purposes as well. We can, if you wish, look a little bit more into the needs of the children with special needs, just to see if there is anything on these plans that perhaps got overlooked. But we can look into that just to make sure that we address it.
Okay. And my last question, because I couldn't see it on what you were presenting. The main entrance is downstairs, correct?
Yes.
That entryway, was there a slide on are there changes to the entry itself?
There are dramatic changes to the entry, and that's what will really make the space. When you come in, you will enter into a kind of elongated space. You'll look to the left and to the right, and you will see fairly large open lobby with different seating arrangements. On the left, it'll be a lounge with a
Was
coffee.
that in one of the slides?
It was, but it was kind of difficult to read.
Okay,
so that's
so
why I'm
I thought,
describing
'cause I
this.
could just go back and look, but I didn't.
And on the right side, there is a seating area. So we tried very quickly with an AI to produce this for you tonight, but it wasn't that easy because there's just a lot of things built into that space.
Okay.
So when you go in now, you have that, you sort of walk into that little, vestibule. And on the left-hand side, there's offices behind there. Those are all coming out. So that'll all open up. So you won't have that narrow hallway between the multipurpose room and those offices. That'll all open up. And so that probably is the most significant structural change, that and the addition of the staircase that really changed I think just walking into a welcoming lobby of a place that can hold many, many, many different activities and events.
Okay. I was, and this being just a comment, under the impression, having worked at a community center that has many children, that places are narrowing, not more narrow than we have it, for security reasons, for lockdown reasons, for reasons of managing who's coming and going. Some have security guards now standing there. That actually is sort of the future of community centers, not the past. Maybe they were ahead of their time 25 years ago. But the narrow entrances are actually, and double entrances, right? 2 doors are done for security purposes, especially since there's so many young children there. So just want to make sure that that's being looked at, considering how many kids we have using on that place. So like a school, like what schools are doing essentially. Sir?
So The gymnasium. I remember there was talk early on. Are we repurposing that stage at all? We
Yeah.
are. Okay.
The stage is being removed, the floor is being lowered to the level of the gymnasium, and it will be used to wheel in any kind of equipment
Okay.
or
Makes sense. Lighting. Is there going to be a lighting control system in this building, or are we just winging it with switches and dimmers?
switches and dimmers, and we can rethink this if you would like to. But the individual needs of each room are such that I think it will be probably more practical to be able to come into the room and adjust the lighting
Right.
rather than having to go to a central location.
I'm mainly concerned with the bigger rooms or the rooms with the light with the children that a control system that has a daylight sensor can adjust to the outside daylight during the day. You know, there's all kinds of systems out there. I'm not advocating for one of them, but I'm just as an option, you know, it automatically, if it gets really bright out and all these kids are in a room, it'll adjust to that. Not only that it saves energy, which you would like,
Yeah.
all right, but it helps them in the room.
You're
Just
absolutely right. And it's actually even required by the code these days. So,
right.
yes.
Okay, I'm done. Thank you.
Okay,
Very good. Thank you for having me.
everybody's good? Thank you very much. I've only been hearing good things about the whole project. I even see that you have tables that go up and down, so if it's kids or adults, when you're done there, you can come into this room and redo this place. Very much appreciate your time.
Thank you so much, Dazen. Next, we have our treasurer, Dale Brennan, on Zoom. She's here. You received a memo talking about the capital plan. So we do need to create a capital plan that is now by resolution, opens a capital project so that we can go forward. So those resolutions will be on next week's meeting, but here's Dale to brief you on what we would be voting on next week, what you would be voting on next week.
Thank you, Manager Dottori. Good evening, Mayor and Board. These projects, I'm sure, look familiar as we recently passed them during our adopted budget, which occurred on December 3rd. So most of these projects that we're going to start off with this year are for vehicles and equipment, as well as a portion for the Henry Gordine Ferry Dock repairs, the lead water service line replacement. That's just the general project, along with getting a bond resolution for our 2026 street and sidewalk projects, stormwater inflow infiltration projects. The six-wheel dump truck will also require a bond resolution for that, as well as the cybersecurity grant, which was actually awarded back in August of 2025. That's $42,500 with no village match to enhance our cybersecurity. There are some projects that we are not going to do resolutions yet for to establish a capital project till we have better cost estimates in hand. This was for the Armory building improvements project, the HVAC, at 16 Croton for the manager's office, the flooring at the Armory, as well as there was one more HVAC for the fire department. So those will be coming along at a later date, but we figured we'll get some of these smaller projects started, as well as, since I'm doing transfers from fund balance, to feed these projects, I can book those transfers to 2025 so that we start 2026 fresh and clean with our fund balance numbers. Any questions?
I just want to say that thank you to the village staff that can you zoom in here, Jesse? Zoom in. There we go. So if you look at the oh yeah, if you look at the agenda, just like normal, we have the topic and the contact, the person that's speaking about it, but then there's also this very helpful little description of what each agenda item is. That's so helpful. Thank you. That is all.
So,
6. This is the agenda plus.
and
Yeah, that's not in the capital budget. That just.
No, but I just thought of it.
that's just little extra
Little
stuff
extra.
that along the way we try to always do a little extra, and that did come. That was a suggestion that came to us, and a very smart suggestion, and we were very happy to accommodate it.
Yeah.
It's possible. So the okay, the next topic that we have is we have representatives from Grand Peconic Ventures here tonight who are interested in establishing a dispensary at 159 Main Street, despite the fact that we are in the middle of a moratorium. The Office of Cannabis Management does have a 60-day comment window, which is, will expire soon. And we have the representatives from Grand Peconic here to talk about their project, their proposed project. Gentlemen,
Wherever you want.
wherever you want.
The camera follows you, so.
Okay. Yes.
The mics are all working.
I've learned my lesson.
It's the
Hello.
people that aren't working. The mics are just fine.
Good evening. My name's Joseph Levy. I'm an attorney. I represent Green Panacea as a company along with Charlie and Carlos, principals here that'll speak to you guys soon directly. Before we get started, first and foremost, thank you so much for your time tonight. We truly appreciate it. Thank you to Maddie for helping us to figure a lot of this stuff out. She's been incredibly helpful. We really appreciate her in this matter. And congratulations on these downtown initiatives. This is pretty unbelievable and makes me a little jealous, actually, that my town's not doing stuff like this. So congratulations.
Where are you from?
I'm not going to do that publicly. I don't want any.
Relive.
I don't want any blowback. But anyway, my name is Joseph Levy. I'm the attorney for these gentlemen in this initiative. We understand that you guys are in the middle of a moratorium at the moment. So I'd like to say a few words before I let them get up here and speak a little bit about their concept. This lease was actually finalized back in August. And in hindsight, we should have and could have reached out and sent the notice immediately and would have beat the moratorium, I suppose, because it didn't take effect until September. But we didn't know it was coming. We didn't feel that sense of urgency that maybe we would have if we did know it was coming. So to the extent that gives you any flexibility in your conversations, that would be great. If not, of course, we understand that as well. I would ask that you please hear us tonight on the merits. I think this is a really interesting, unique take on a cannabis dispensary. It's unlike anything you currently have or there is around. You'll hear from the gentleman what it is. It's a much more mature concept. It's not exactly what you normally think of when you think of a cannabis dispensary. You'll hear from gentlemen that have ties to the community, that have really thought about how they can give back to the community, and they've kind of doubled down on that commitment. You see the architect who's here with us is a local guy that everybody knows, and we are committed to really doubling down on the community that we're going into. I'll let these gentlemen speak a little bit more about the concept, and then I'm happy to jump back in and answer some other questions if that's helpful. Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor Levin, Deputy Mayor Lopez, members of the board, village leaders. My name's Charlie Updegraff. I'm one of the two principals of Green Panacea. My partner Carlos will come up in just a few minutes. We appreciate you giving us some time to discuss our concepts with you this evening. As we mentioned, the name is Green Panacea. Panacea was a Greek goddess known for holistic remedies, natural remedies, healing. And we take that very seriously and thought very long and hard about choosing the name of our concept. We are coming at cannabis from a wellness aspect. There are many studies out in the world demonstrating efficacy of cannabis in terms of chemo nausea, in terms of MS spasticity, in terms of epilepsy, in terms of anxiety, in terms of PTSD, general stress. There are many positive aspects to cannabis, and that's what we're focusing on. We're not a head shop. We're not, a bodega, anything like this. Think in your minds, spa, wood floors, white walls. We expect to have a living green wall, some cedar shingle accent walls, open space, very clean lines. Again, very much like a spa. And we're coming at it from a wellness standpoint, and we believe very deeply in that. Now, of course, there's a recreational standpoint as well, and that's fine. And people can use it recreationally, just like they, unwind at the end of the evening with a couple of glasses of wine. And that's all right too. But there's a lot in the world of cannabis, and we take that very seriously in terms of education, which is also what we want to focus on. We're focusing really coming at this from two standpoints. Wellness is one, and education is the other. I'm 56 years old. I reside in Garfield, New Jersey. I've got a wife and a daughter and a grandson who turns 4 in a couple of weeks, and a Jack Russell Terrier. I went to college in Western New York, studied economics and history. I had a background in retailing in the 90s, and then in restaurants as general manager and wine director. And then I moved over to the wholesale side of wine. And I'm very deeply versed and educated in the world of wine, as my partner is. And we see a lot of crossover there between wine and cannabis. Wine can be very intimidating to folks that don't understand it. You walk into a liquor store, there's a wall, has 400 bottles on it, and you don't really know what to pick out. And a lot of times people pick just what they had the last time, or if they like a label or something like that. Cannabis is very similar to that, in our opinion. You've got dozens and dozens of different strains. You've got edibles, you've got beverages, you've got dabs, you've got vapes, all kinds of things. And that can be very intimidating for someone who's uninitiated, doesn't understand that. And we are looking at very seriously our role in educating our guest. Tell us exactly what you're looking for. Are you trying to cure some sort of an ailment? Are you trying to alleviate an ailment? Do you just want recreational product? Tell us what you need, and we're going to help get you there. And we take that very seriously. And we want to have, as Joe mentioned, a very mature, clean, happy place where people can find what they're looking for. We can guide them, get them exactly what they need. I'm going to ask Carlos to come up now, introduce himself, and he's going to talk a bit about why we've chosen your fine town here. Actually, this.
First of all, I would like to thank all the members here tonight. Mayor Levin, Deputy Mayor Lopez, Trustee Member White, Yost, Fritsch, and I'm sure I've missed some folks, and the wonderful town staff administrators as well that have been very helpful, Madison in particular. My name is Carlos Corella. I was born and grew up in New York City in Upper Manhattan. I am a graduate of Vanderbilt University. I graduated it with a degree in economics. And for the better part of a decade, I worked in finance. I went out on my own after about 8 years and became the proverbial, let's call it, entrepreneur. Failed a lot of things before I started kind of understanding what I was doing. The last couple of businesses have all been centered around wine and hospitality. In 2021, when cannabis became something that was viable and now legal and recreational in the state of New York, Charlie, who I've been doing business with as my wholesaler for wine, So, hey, look, we should really kind of think about what cannabis can bring into the hospitality world, since we have so much experience in operation in it. For the last 2 years, I've embarked on working with GTI, Green Thumb Industries, which is a medical cannabis corporation, which is also now branched out into recreation. I myself have focused on the medical side of the business and finding how cannabis can help with, especially I have elderly parents who are suffering from all sorts of arthritic issues and the alike, and nothing was working. And so once I was introduced to the medical cannabis world, I finally saw some relief for them that was amazing. In trying to kind of spin this into a business, I started looking at, well, where can we do this and how do we do this? Here's where we come to the town of Ossining. Ossining has been a reverberating kind of sound in my head since I was in high school, because my high school's girlfriend's grandparents lived in Ossining. And so she would always say, I'm going to see my grandparents in Ossining. I'm like, where's Ossining? Then when I graduated college as a failed former college athlete, I joined the WBA, which is the Westchester Baseball Association. And I played for the towns of Tarrytown, Sleepy Hollow, and Greenburgh. And every once in a while, we would cross through Ossining. And this is where I first fell in love with the water towns, as I affectionately used to call them. Then again, I'm watching Mad Men one day, and Don Draper gets married and buys a house in Ossining. I'm like, here's Ossining again. And once I started coming up here to really enjoy the waterfront views, dining all the way from Harvest Moon to the boathouse in Ossining, so wow, what a wonderful town. So when we were prospecting for places to actually say, can this work somewhere in Westchester? We were not necessarily convinced that any of the towns here would be receptive. So to our great surprise, when we found out that Ossining had opted in to the program, we jumped on it. I have a history with turning landmark commission buildings into something interesting, new, and modern with its preservation of its old infrastructure. And when I found 159 Ossining and I saw that it was available for lease, I immediately moved on it. And so we are excited to be able to bring our special spin and concept of cannabis recreation and wellness to the town of Ossining and the greater area as well, as many of the towns surrounding Ossining are not opted in. We do emphasize education for those folks who have used cannabis in the past in the shadows. It's a place where they can come out of the shadows and feel welcomed and educated. With so many things that are circulating out there and our kids are getting exposed to all this madness, we want to be able to control who has access to this and the quality of what they have access to while understanding while they're consuming. I think for a long time, like myself, we considered cannabis something that was flower-based. Going into the medical and wellness side of things, I realized the power of extraction and concentration, edibles, and things that don't even have the THC component, like CBD. And this is where we are now. Slide, please. The cannabis industry has grown exponentially year over year in New York since legalization in 2021. And we want to be able to participate in that market. But coming to the town of Ossining and establishing a successful business is not just what we want to do. Ossining also has interesting charities that we want to get involved with. Myself being a child that has suffered food insecurity young, there is a food pantry here in Ossining that we would love to get involved with. Having had a history of running restaurants and owning restaurants, I understand that sometimes a food pantry can use a monetary donation, but sometimes that means a kitchen equipment gift or just rolling up the sleeves and boiling some sancocho for them, whatever that means. There's another charity here in town called Ossining Padres. That is also very dear to me because as the son of an immigrant family that struggled mightily, and the current, not to get political, the current winds that blow within our nation, helping struggling immigrant families is something that I'm very passionate about. And we would like to be able to get involved in Ossining Padres, which is an organization which provides not just food, but also clothing to struggling immigrant families. I will answer any questions now that you may have on the operational regardless of the business, because I think there are a lot of questions that I can answer for you that are specific to running an operational cannabis business.
Okay, I'm going to start. Dana, this is your night. You want to start? If you want to, I don't.
Thank you for coming. We have currently one operating dispensary, one very close to coming online, and another a bit less close to coming online. Two of them are on North Highland because they get a lot of cars. Main Street is, not like North Highland. It's also in a historic district. It's also got a public square kind of across the street. During our moratorium, we're going to decide where dispensaries can go, I think, if it, but I'm not sure we have decided on downtown yet. That's the old Bob's Army Navy. And which would be quite a shift for it. And it has been sitting empty for a while. So it would be nice to have a business in there. Whether it's a cannabis business or not is something we're going to have to decide. It sounds like you are going to do more of the medical, because I don't think the other three are really accentuating medical that much.
Both wellness and
And
recreational. Absolutely.
okay, but I assume that it will be run in the same way that dispensaries are run in terms of operations, in terms of IDs, in terms of all that. But our Main Street is a different vibe. And so, we just have to think long and hard about that. So.
Sir, if you have anything, you don't have to.
Thank you for coming in. Appreciate it. Appreciate the Sun Culture reference as well. So what will happen at the end of this, as I understand it, is that there's going to be a letter that goes to the state where we basically say as a board, hey, we like this or we don't like this, or is our opinion. The state may take our thoughts into consideration or not. So who knows? But that's essentially what we're charged with here. I am conflicted because on the one hand, like my beloved colleague mentioned, see kind of what's going on in the area and want to ensure that when we said that we wanted to opt in, it was because we wanted the people of Ossining to have the option to be able to do whatever they want to do as adults and not impede that decision, amongst other reasons. And the fact that other communities opted out means that, hey, there's extra opportunities for us here. So there's a lot of pluses, a lot of reasons to say, yes, let's do it. But also, this is a little bit of a different space because the other dispensaries are a little bit more out of the way. This would be quite centralized. And so I don't know what the long-term ramifications would be ultimately. My sense is that it would probably be fine, but I don't know. Unlike the others that are much more out of the way, I can very confidently say that's not going to change the character of that particular part of the community. Here's what would be helpful for me moving forward, and this may be in your materials and I didn't see it, and but number one is renders of what you think the space may look like. You described it, and the way that they used to be described is like, oh, they're like Apple stores, and so you're describing a little bit differently. But if you have renders, that would be helpful. Oh, here we go. The big papers.
JD will speak to that as well, sir.
Okay, and we have more big papers coming. Okay. Got it. Okay. Yeah.
In fairness, they only sent it a couple of hours ago,
Yeah.
so most of us didn't get it.
There was a little technology snafu earlier that we had to clean up, and we did the best we could scrambling.
Yeah. Okay. So, I mean, looks nice. It looks nice. So I don't have any problems with the way that it looks. So I'm a very strong neutral at this point. I wish I could be more declarative and definitive. but that's kind of where I sit at this moment.
Well,
I echo the deputy mayor's thoughts. And Charlie, when was that picture taken? The first picture we see. It's a good picture, but
From his modeling days.
I had to do a little darker too. Anyways, all kidding aside, I echo the deputy mayor, and I believe it's a happy anniversary, 25 years. Thank you. But I echo the deputy mayor's sentiments, and very strong neutral right now.
If I could add one more thing.
Just due to the fact that we're in the middle of this moratorium and we really haven't dove into it yet. So, but that's all I have.
If I can add one more thing that I don't think was mentioned yet, and I didn't want to steal anyone's thunder in mentioning it, is obviously this is a minority-owned business. I know, with the way that cannabis is rolled out, and Madam Mayor, you've mentioned it, and I echo that sentiment that the goalposts keep moving, the rules keep changing. It's been very difficult for all of us to get up to speed, to understand what to do and how it's going to work and how long it's going to take. But this is one of those applications that actually went to someone who should have gotten them, one of these licenses rather, minority-owned business. And we also have a security company that we're going to work with, which is a veteran-owned business that does cannabis dispensaries across the country. So we're very aware of where Main Street is and how it's different than the other locations. And we'll make sure from a security standpoint that the cameras, the alarms, the whole infrastructure is set and is done in a way that makes sense. And we're creating as safe of an environment as we can.
great. What percent is owned by a minority candidate?
51.
Okay. So this was great. To me, unlike one of my colleagues, it's exactly the same presentation that we've seen from others. A lot of statistics, commitments to giving to local charities. I think almost everyone said that it's sort of, that's nice. Security is a requirement. You're not doing anything. You're supposed to do that. You're supposed to have security. You're supposed to have the other candidates the other three that are already in our 3.5 square miles, with many churches and schools and all the other stuff that sort of make this challenging as a community. For me, I don't think anybody that owns this, you must own the other 49%. It's just the two of you, right? There are no other investors?
No.
You're not actually local, from what I understand. You could drive through here and you can date someone here and you could be in Tarrytown. We've had some of the folks that opened are actually from here, moved here or from here, are very familiar. That was a nice selling point for them. To me, I've been to dispensaries, many of them. They all look like spas to me. There's some look funky, some look more, more like a place you get facials, others more warehousey. They come in different shapes, but I mean, this board understands that dispensaries are not head shops. I mean, they're real businesses. I didn't hear anything about where your expected revenue is from here, like your financial.
We can speak to
This is
that.
why I was ready to answer your question
Okay.
specifically about those things. Well, so obviously, not every location is going to generate the same amount of revenue. So it's not the same projection that we would have, let's say, in the middle of Manhattan, right? Different population, different traffic. So in order to understand revenue, we'll break it down to average cost per item, average cost per transaction, and what expected revenues would be. So, these are not incredibly inexpensive because they are coming into a dispensary which are taxed, and we want to be able to hold quality products in there. So any item will range from $20 to $50 on average, from cheapest to probably the more expensive stuff. But on average, you're looking at about $35 price point per item on average. Average cost of transaction, you're looking anywhere between $60 and $90 is what we see from my experience working at GTI. Expected revenues, and I mean, look, these are conservative, and as any other business, you want to be able to build on that. But we're looking to do about $5,000 in sales a day, which equal just about on average 1.8 million in year one. If we can build from there, that would be great. So those are the numbers, and I'm basing those on my experience having worked and ran operationally the GTI locations, which are also known as Rise Dispensary. You might have heard those names around mostly New Jersey.
So how many dispensaries are you involved with, or either of you?
Oh,
This is it.
you mean equity?
Yeah,
This is it.
so this is
number
your
one.
first one.
This is the first one that
Okay.
we'll own, yes. I got involved with GTI in order to really understand how the market worked, because I really didn't have any experience.
Okay, so this is your first one. It's about 1.8, which is on par with what we've heard, between 1 million to 1.5 million. 1.8 is a little high. Those estimates were done based on no competition in square footage. Now there is already 3 within, well, this would be like not even half a mile from the other one, right? It's like, yeah, uphill, but it's not even a quarter of a mile. It's literally just down the street. Right?
Bottom of the street.
Yeah, yeah, bottom of the hill. All right, so we're in a mill moratorium. Stuart, if we're in a moratorium, what's our next steps here?
You would still need to provide comments to Office of Cannabis Management, because that's what's required. Even though there is a moratorium, you can still provide your opinion with regard to the applicant, so that the OCM can have that, and they can then make, and they can use that in terms of their determination. So it would be important for the board to communicate to us, particularly the assistant village manager, so that the necessary communication can be prepared and sent to OCM.
Okay. And I had one other, this is kind of my, please.
Imagining the worst case scenario type of thing, we're gonna have a spiffy new public square across the street. And I mean, my fear is that people will walk out of the dispensary and go light up in the park. And we just don't want that at all.
Well, they can do that now.
I guess they can do that now, but that makes it easier.
Well, I just want to say, smoking, vaping, all that stuff is not allowed in the park, so will be posted. It is not always the easiest law to enforce, but it is sort of a peer pressure enforcement that, people who don't like smoke of any kind will get annoyed when people smoke in a no smoking area. So I just want to, just for the public's benefit, like we do have ordinances prohibiting smoking in those areas.
And to the extent we can do anything in terms of posting signs, making people aware of that as they're leaving the store, we're happy to participate in that way as well.
Okay.
I'd also like to hear from the chamber about what they think about a dispensary at that particular location.
Well, I also, the parking. I thought that
the
dispensaries had
parking.
to have parking. Where's the parking for this?
Yes, so this is where we would like to introduce JB, who you're very familiar with.
Good evening. So this project, it used to be retail, it used to be Bob stores. And in the VC district, we're not increasing, there's no net increase of the parking demand when you go from retail to retail. And we primarily had approved a similar store here, actually with more parking demand, which was going to be a
Excuse
restaurant.
me, Stuart, I thought that dispensaries needed to have their own spaces. I thought that was the whole thing with one of the other folks.
No, they comply with the zoning code in terms of square footage. So it's not
Okay.
a specific, so no, you look at the zoning code, you look at the parking tables, and you figure out from there square footage. That tells you how many spaces you need to have.
So I don't remember if they have parking in the back. So it's all street parking.
Yes.
And Muni.
Well, any retail store on Main Street will rely on street parking.
Dispensaries actually have different, like they have different signage issues, they have different parking, but I must be mistaken because it goes.
Parking now.
Not with regard to parking.
Could I
Okay, that's
interject
fine.
quickly? Yeah. Thank you. Hello. Deputy Mayor Lopez is right. So the next step in this process would be to write that letter to OCM. But if in fact this application or any other application were to move forward, we do send all of the cannabis dispensary applications to the planning for site plan.
Mhm.
So we haven't had one in this neighborhood yet, obviously. But some of the things that I asked the applicant team to make sure that they considered, not only lighting, but also security and parking. I am on a JB same page with this one. So because it's going into a different retail use, they don't need to have any dedicated parking assigned. And I think I read that 6 spaces is what would typically be required.
Yes.
And so you're covered by what's
Yes.
already there.
Good. Okay. So for me, I'm leaning a little differently. I'm not a strong neutral. We have a moratorium for a reason. I hear no reason here to not continue, looking, at through the moratorium of where we think it makes sense or it doesn't. In this particular presentation, for me, there is a real importance for people who are local and understand our community, who are involved in our community, and that is not the case here. Always makes me uncomfortable when it's somebody's first gig, especially when they're not from around here. So for me, I'm leaning out of the neutral into, I don't think this is a good fit for the community. I don't know what Dana actually said, so I can't tell.
What did I say?
Well, he's a strong neutral because he's
Yeah.
single, so I think.
Well, I'm neutral as well. Anybody will ask you, I've been pro dispensary.
Well, we all voted unanimously.
We all
for
voted
that.
unanimously,
Yeah,
right?
It's not the dispensary that we already voted on. It's the
It's just this
location.
particular location.
Yeah.
Now, chances are, if you didn't know it was a dispensary, you might not even know. You walk by, you go, oh, it's a nice spa. I should get a facial, right? But I'm sure it would probably be okay. I'm just, this just makes me, I just have to think about it more.
Okay.
I'd like to hear from the
And-
community more, and I'd like to hear from entities out in the community.
Yeah, so what's the timing on this?
So the clerk's office formally received this on November 26th. So we have until January 25th to send it.
Oh,
to
so
the
that's not all.
Yeah, that is true.
You already told us about the parking, right?
Yeah, the only thing I would point out is also that probably when we were doing a different retail, we did go to the historical review board and we did get an approval for what the finishes were going to be in the exterior, and that is not changing. We're doing the same thing. And that was one of the slides as well.
They still have to go through the process though, right?
Yeah, I mean, just because I'm familiar, this is the space that was going to be occupied by
yes,
the restaurant or by the accounting,
the
cleaning?
restaurant.
The restaurant. Okay.
Yes.
All right, so that's a different.
The next slide, well, there's another slide one more.
It's the one at the
One more?
very back, right? The one that just
Yeah,
says
there you go.
this?
That's
Yeah.
yeah.
So you're saying the sign ban wouldn't change, but I
Nothing
mean,
except this, of course, the content of the
Yeah.
sign, but
yeah, I
everything
mean, the
else is the
HPC
same.
might still have something to say
you
about that.
still have to
I
go
think we
through the
still
process.
would end up be referred there.
Right.
I mean, but you know that, right?
Yeah.
So you know that.
But we're saying that this, what we're proposing for the facade already has been at least once through
And
the,
what we're saying is that you know that they still have to go through the whole thing. So you saying that it doesn't actually, you know that they have to do that anyway. You don't just plug and play because you did one client and now another one. It might be easier because they approved.
no,
things
this is not
for you.
about plug and play.
Yeah.
This is about saying that we are not changing. stuff that
Understood,
already has
but I
been
think that you
looked at.
still have to go through the process. No, am I wrong?
No, I think that's
Okay.
right. I
Yeah.
think what I believe you're trying to convey is that if the look and feel is the same, you believe that if HPC were asked, they might
Yes.
draw the same conclusion as they had on prior application. Can't speak for them,
Yeah,
don't know.
Right.
yeah, we don't speak for them. They'll look at it and they might agree with that, or they may not. Okay. Stuart, what else do we have to do with this?
Just have to essentially give direction in terms of what you would like the letter to OCM to state.
Okay, I don't know what the options are. There's 4 of us here, so.
As I'm seeing it, I think it, and I've seen these letters before, they're very well written, and they basically say, hey, here are some of the benefits that they've laid out and some of the reasons why we agree. Here's some of the concerns that came up in our conversation, but what we want you to know. and then do with that state what you will.
So don't you have that? Isn't that what we stated?
I believe, based on the conversations, I can certainly draft something for the board's review later this week. Yeah.
There's some concerns,
Mhm.
there's some neutral. Okay,
Strong neutral.
strong neutral.
Very strong.
How's that different?
Well, I mean, it's like dark gray, not like light gray. It's like,
I don't know.
it's like if you have very strong arguments on both sides, you don't have no arguments, you have very strong arguments on both sides, and they cancel out. So it's a strong neutral.
Okay, it's the difference between a mean and a median in math.
There you go.
Okay. All good. And you're in the same place and there's four of us. So, I mean, Pat will look at this and review and he may have, some thoughts as well, which I think you can gather from him and see what his thoughts are. He may have had questions we didn't think about, et cetera, et cetera. Fabulous. Thank you. Always good to learn something. I haven't had Greek mythology lesson in a long time. I loved it. It's always good to learn something new, which I did today, which is all good. And how many square feet is this? Bob's is big, right?
1,835.
Is that the whole Bob's?
Yes.
Also, it's 3 levels, yeah?
No, no, no.
Is it 2?
We only.
Just that-
First floor. Bob's store.
Isn't there on the other side, like another floor? No. It's just one? Okay.
Yes, only.
That's 1,800 square feet. I always thought it was bigger than that. Okay.
No, there is a second floor, but it's occupied by an accountant.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Got it. Okay, I always thought it was bigger. All right. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. I always thought it was bigger. Okay. Thanks very much. There's nobody on that we're supposed to talk to regarding this
No.
topic. Okay.
Thank you, gentlemen. So next on our agenda, our water superintendent, Andy Teese, is here to talk to us about maintenance agreement for the generator at the Indian Brook Water Treatment Facility, as well as a project that we've been contemplating for some time and finally are embarking on, and that's the painting of the Lakeville
Sure.
tank. So welcome,
Andy.
Superintendent Andy. I do know his name.
Section.
Thank you, thank you.
Nice to see you in 26. See you?
Likewise, no, I don't think so.
Okay, nice to see you.
Um,
I'll be right back.
the generator contract,
What are you looking for?
when we bought this generator 10 years ago, we bought the generator 10 years ago. It was close to $1 million. This generator provides full power and backup power to the treatment plant as well as the new treatment plant. That contract that we when we issued it was a 5-year contract, so that it was actually in the bid, and it was with Cummings. And then we extended that. We went out for bid and we brought in a bunch of quotes, and they were very close to Cummings 5 years ago. And we feel really strong with renewing the Cummings contract because they are trained on that equipment. It's not like just a local generator company that could just figure it out. They are trained, and it's still a huge investment. Even today, that generator to replace would be over $1 million. So it's like new would be like $1.5 million. And that's like the lifeblood of our plant. So we have a proposal here for $21,629.11. That's for 5 years. And that includes 3 full services, 2 full battery change outs, and then 5 inspections over 5 years. And that's worked out really well. So we're asking to go ahead with that contract. Any questions on it? If Bob might have something.
Oh, no, I got questions.
He always does. Go ahead.
Load bank testing.
Yep, we do that. We do. We
First of all, I'm sorry, I don't mean to interrupt. How often is it exercise?
every week.
Every week. And then how often do you do a load bank?
So we do every week we do run it under load.
Right.
Instead of just so it doesn't wet stack.
Right.
And then every 5 years we do a load test. So there's only been 1 load test done.
Okay.
In 5 years. The new plant, it will run everything but it'll run everything other than if we had an MIB situation that was catastrophic.
Right.
For all 3 UV systems. We did not want to include that in the new plant because it would have been like another $1.5 million. And then if we have to, in that weird situation that if we do have MIB,
More portable.
yes. So that's the deal with that.
Okay, that's all I had. Thank you.
Okay. H2M. H2M is our engineer for the Lakeville tank painting project. We executed a contract back in 2022 with them for $269,740. In that process, it took over a year and a half to well, first we realized that we needed to install VFDs at our pump station, variable frequency drives. What that does is control the speed of a pump so that you're essentially taking the whole tank out of service. There'll be small portable tanks hooked up to hydrants throughout mid-service, the Lakeville system. And then as the pressure drops, we'll constantly feed different pumps so that everybody has pressure. The fire department will be told that they don't have fire service in that area. Is that what it's called, Bob? Yeah. Yeah, like when we do the tour bank tank. So the fire department always has to have a tanker ready. But in that situation, that took like a year and a half because of COVID. It was such a delay getting that VFD. So we weren't able to like move forward on the tank. Then the following year, it took over a year for the health department to approve the drawings for the tank. So last year, around this time, we had health department approval and I was ready to go out to bid, looked at the days of construction, and it would have brought us into the winter with painting tanks, and those portable tanks would have been freezing up by the hydrants. We're like, we can't do it. So that's why I was like, let's push it off one more year, which is this year. And we want to do this. So during that time, H2M's like, listen, you're doing the construction management, the fees have gone up, and based on 3 years of escalation costs, it's about $42,000 extra to the contract. I don't think it's outrageous. I've asked them to hold off on this project for almost 4 years so that it would benefit us. Not a bad thing. Tomorrow we're opening the bids on this tank. So we don't know if it's going to be 3 million, if it's 4 million, if it's 2.5. It's going to happen at 10 o'clock tomorrow. So we'll have the numbers, but either way, we still need to have them going forward. Little history on these tanks. These tanks roughly cost about $2 per gallon to paint. You're sandblasting a tank and you're putting it back in service and you're painting it and you're bringing it up to today's standard. So a million, so that's 1.5 million gallon tank. So that's $3 million. Tour bank tank. We painted that back about 10 years ago. That is looking to be, we keep cleaning it every year and keeping it in good shape. But these tanks normally last 10 years, 10 to 15 years of painting. 2 years ago, we painted the top of the Pleasantville Road tanks at Richard Wishney Park. And you see our distribution crews constantly cleaning the moss and the mildew off these tanks to make them last. A lot of places don't do that. That's gotten us time. So it's really expensive on the tank side. What's interesting about this tank, getting back to the point, the last time this tank was painted was 1992. It's unheard of a tank to last that long. It was just such a good job that they did back then. And
Remind people where this tank is, just.
Yeah, they're not in business.
No, I mean the Lakeville tank.
Where it is?
The water.
Oh, Bracken Road.
Huh?
Where's the location?
Yeah.
Bracken Road.
Okay.
So it's in the town. There's some modifications that need to be made, some like steel work and that kind of stuff. So it's not just painting in this instance, but hopefully we get a qualified contractor that does the same thing. It's amazing that it's lasted that long and the deterioration has not been that good. We borrow for it out of the capital budget. It's not out of the operating, and we've
budgeted for?
oh yeah, many times, many years.
We carried it over.
This is also coming from the water fund.
Yes.
Through our general fund, just.
So it's an expensive proposition for any water system, but it's the only way to maintain this. The health department requires us every 5 years to bring divers in or robotics equipment, and we have to give a full detailed report. And this came up in the last 2 years in our health department report, and it's needed. So let's cross our fingers tomorrow. Let's see where the numbers come in, but we have to do this. And some communities have spent the money to go with concrete tanks and fiberglass tanks, but the cost to do that is just outrageous now. It would be so much more. If it was a brand new situation, different story. It's not.
Okey-dokey. Can I ask, this is a dumb question, which I excel at.
So dumb.
Since it's in the town,
Mhm.
does the town contribute any money to the painting of it?
The infrastructure for the water treatment plant is paid for by the village. The town residents pay 50% more for their water than village residents do. So that's part of the water IMA that we have, but we are responsible for all of our infrastructure. So not just the tanks, the water mains, everything else. That is the village's responsibility to address. And it does come out of the water fund, which town residents pay a higher percentage to.
Not all town residents, right? It's because all village residents are town residents. It's the.
Let me be clear, unincorporated town yeah, no, it's the people in the unincorporated town of us.
But the thing about it, the question that you say, like the town, just because it's in the town doesn't mean it feeds just the town. It feeds more village residents than it does in the town, just because of the pressure zone. So, yeah. And there's three pressure zones, just in case you want to know that. All right. Thank you.
Okay, so those resolutions will be on for next week's meeting. Now I'd like to invite our village town engineer and director of public works to talk about our contract with AI engineers. And this is an updated proposal that we got from them for the Spring Street CDBG streetscaping project. That did have some adjustments because we did modify the scope of work, and some time has passed since the original estimate too.
Thank you, Karen. Good evening, Mayor and Board. So this resolution this evening is to discuss the increase in a consultant proposal for a CDBG project that was in the 2021 through 2023 CDBG funding cycle. So to take a little walk back there to discuss the scope of that project, when we originally put together those applications, which I think you're familiar with, that we present to you every year when we go for CDBG funding, Westchester County, we originally scoped two projects. One was phase one Spring Street, which was from Broad Avenue rather, to Lafayette. And the second phase of Spring Street was going to be from Lafayette to the Spring Street limits down on Revolutionary Road. So we made that application, COVID hit, everything shut down in the county, and there was no real processing of those applications for a number, 2 to 3 years. It kind of sat stagnant, but in that interim, if you remember, Con Ed was doing a lot of work in the village, including Lower Spring Street. So a lot of the sidewalks kind of got fixed by them. We fixed some of the sidewalks when we did some tree work down there, and it became less and less needed to do the sidewalks in that area. And we wanted to commit a little more money to the drainage and the sidewalks up on Broad to Lafayette corridor. And the county agreed to allow us to roll over the $200,000 contribution from that project into the phase one project. So the county's actually giving us 2-in-1, if you will, because they will give you up to $200,000 on these projects, and they're actually giving us 4 for this because they're considering it a combined project. So that's one nice thing about the construction itself. And that helps offset a lot of the cost escalation that we experienced during the inflationary period, particularly with a lot of commodities which impact the cost of construction. So that said, that was just a little history on the construction dollars, which we already bid, and you already awarded it at a meeting about 2 months ago. and we're going to commence with that work in the spring with the contractor. But this resolution is for the engineering firm that assisted us in preparation of the documents to the county, and it also included a civil site component versus just a streetscape component, because we have some drainage issues in the Lafayette Spring Street area where we had standing water due to some elevation challenges we had there, and just the condition of the road itself and the curbs and sidewalks. So we needed to get rid of that condition, and we are doing that with this project as well. So there's a lot of subsurface work that we added. In adding that, it impacts the cost of the engineer's proposal. But the big impact that had us come back to you for the additional work was because of the scope and because of everything that's going on in the village right now, we needed to supplement the inspection services in the field. So the engineer that did the design and is very familiar with the monetary drawdown process with the CDBG folks at Westchester County Planning is going to do the inspection and also do the drawdown work for us, which includes interviews and reviewing bid payment documents to satisfy those CDBG monies in that application. We've done exactly what I said in my tenure here with this firm in excess of a dozen times on CDBG projects. Very successful. They're very familiar with the county process. It goes very smoothly, and it's really money well spent. So I appreciate your consideration of the new resolution for 111,000, I believe it is.
Karen, the only thing that's going to start happening is we are amazingly close, unlike in previous years, in the budget. And I know I'm going to keep being told there's all budget for it, but it really, while true, doesn't matter because everything keeps coming in over budget and over budget and over budget, except for parts of the community center continues to be pretty well managed. So we're going to probably keep saying yes until, as Pat spoke to me, said, he's predicting that we are not going to go over the tax cap. We're not going to keep taking on debt. So we're in January. So we're going to say yeses to a lot of stuff, but I think we're going to have to start really looking at budgets in the next 2 to 3 months because, I don't really have to be an economist to keep saying that we're spending more and more, and it's all legitimate reasons. So it's not a question of whether, $3 million for painting is a big number or a small number. I'd like to have infinite amount of money to do everything. We don't, and it's going to start being a problem. And we're not going to wait till September to look at this. My prediction is it's going to be in 2-3 months, we're going to start saying, spending really lots of money.
Well,
So, I'm just I'm thinking it's yeses for everything we're being asked for today, but
I agree. I agree with everything you said.
I don't think I'm saying anything
No,
that you wouldn't if you were managing your own bank account at home, wouldn't say
No.
I
I agree, but
Yeah.
just for everybody's edification, because you did mention taking on debt service. And I don't know if Dale is still on and she can correct me if I misspeak. So
She's not still on, but I think where you're going here.
just
So
rough, I'll give you rough numbers because I don't have the all the details in front of me. But what we had been doing, our office with the finance office in preparation of this over the since we made the application, we've been kind of banking away a portion of our CHIPS money, which we receive. Now, CHIPS money, yes, it comes from the state. CHIPS is an acronym for a Capital Highway Improvement Program. So we banked away over almost $1 million, about $900,000, when we're getting $400,000 from the county. So on a total project cost of roughly 1.9, You're close. That balance, the balance is what the debt is going to be, the debt service.
So, and that's what I want to, one of the things we do internally and certainly as we do our quarterly presentations or as much as the board wants to hear about the details is managing revenue and expenses. So we know that we have a fairly fixed revenue scenario. It's not like we're going to go out there and do more sales. But so with that understanding, with the understanding that we have committed projects, that are either necessity projects or maybe we got grant monies and there's a match. But, the consideration going forward, when we know these projects are being, for various reasons, usually outside of our control, we sort of start internally doing our plan B, our plan C, and what will happen if those numbers escalate, where we can cost. So while one project may go up, we do try to consistently manage that through other sources of funding, in other areas. And we can definitely talk about that, as we review the budget. We're sensitive, but we're also understand that as those costs, in some cases inevitably increase, again, through even at best laid plans, just given the time it takes to execute some of these projects, that's always a consideration, and we pay a lot of attention to what we can do to mitigate those increases. So we maintain on budget. That's sort of a constant internal discussion that we're having all the time. But we're happy to share that with the board as well.
Yeah, I only just touched on it there, but we talk to each other constantly. This project is going to be, it started out with a very small scope, which we thought we were going to be able to match and meet with our 50% match to take care of the project. But the project grew from just sidewalks into sidewalk, curb, drainage. There's actually going to be one of those stormwater gardens that we added on James here to receive that stormwater. And we were also hoping to pave as much of the road as possible, which you'll also will start to integrate another, funding stream that won't be debt service, because that's going to go, it's going to go out of the water fund, because a lot of the work that we're doing on that road, concurrent with some of the sidewalk work, is going to be lead service work. So the road restoration, we could rightfully so pull out of the water fund to do some of the to bear some of the expense of the road restoration. So it's going to be kind of like a smorgasbord of funding streams, but all very common and very above board, and we've done it many times in the past. Well, just mention that now,
I'm sorry, we can't hear you, whoever's speaking in the audience.
And
You can
again,
come
he
to
was
the microphone.
it's the settlement that Stuart had worked on our with our office, that you hosted the employees a couple of months, weeks back, the 1.3 million. That's primarily what's going to fund a lot of our lead service effort.
Anybody else? We're good? Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. We have been talked about some grants that we had applied for through the Youth Bureau, and we just received the contract for the workforce investment for program for the Youth Bureau. And this is the workforce youth employment program that allows us to extend our youth employment program into the school year. We have a grant of $230,000, a little over that, to that is no match to the village, but this would be used to create employment opportunities with local businesses, perhaps with the village itself, for youth in the community, similar to what we do every summer. So Chima is on Zoom, but this is something that we discussed. So next week, there'll be a resolution for me to sign that contract. But we just wanted to refresh your memory and let you know that that we did actually secure that grant, and that we're very excited to have kids working in the community this year.
I mean, I'm not sure how much we need to discuss it, so.
I just want to,
It's a
again,
grant.
since it's going to
a
be.
no match, which is one of our criteria, so that's met, and it's employing a bunch of kids. I'm like excited.
Yeah, so
all good.
this is a good one. So And then thank you, Chima, for being there.
Thank you, Chima.
I think we're going on to the next topic here.
I don't know if you heard it earlier. Hello. You guys are going up February up
Second.
to
Yes.
February 2nd. What is that?
They'll be lobbying
The lobby.
on their lobby day would be February. Is that the
Third.
the
It will
third?
be on a Tuesday. Yeah.
Third. They'll be up on
Okay,
the
I'm
third.
gonna be joining you. I just have to figure out how to do that. Okay.
Okay, I could give you the itinerary of the plan because we
Yeah,
will
that'll be
have an
great. I'm going up there also with NICOM, so
awesome.
Karen and I spoke to-
NICOM has lobbying, they're going to be sending people to, so I think the mayor will be able to, if we have your itinerary, I can share it with the mayor and she'll be able to catch up with you.
We'll do that, yes. And we going to be going with about 40 kids from the village. It's a great contingent. It will be the highest contingent, in fact, in the entire state.
Whoa, yay,
Yes.
Ossining.
Yep.
Yes,
we have
yes,
very
yes.
motivated advocates, young advocates in Ossining, and Chima is commandeering them all to make sure they advocate on our behalf. So thank you, Chima.
Okay.
Thank you.
Exciting. Thanks, Chima.
Thank
All
you.
right. Our next topic is various cabaret licensing applications, and I will turn this over to Stuart.
Thank you, folks. Good evening. We have 3 licenses or applications for the board to consider tonight. All have been vetted by all the departments with no objections. The first is the 19th hole golf simulator course, which is, as you know, an Arcadian.
So you don't have anybody from the police?
I did ask for the lieutenant. He was
Here.
Oh, yeah, that's what I thought, no?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The captain's here.
captain. I apologize.
Yeah.
I just didn't see anybody.
I don't see him, that's why I thought so, but not seen. That's why I asked. Okay.
Oh, Jamie.
Jamie, can you bring
make
him
a
over?
Panelist, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, I didn't see that he was on here.
Can you bring Brendan over?
Yeah, I thought that he.
Will do.
Or did he not get a panelist? Is he in?
I wasn't aware that he needed one.
Do you want me to
But
continue?
there he is. He's coming over now.
Okay, you can carry
Look at
on.
this guy. My
There
man.
it is. Okay.
Thank you. Hi, Captain.
Hello, how have you got me?
About,
Hello.
the 19th Hole Golf Simulator Corporation. They, again, are applying for a cabaret license. Their SLA license expires on August 31st. So they would, if approved by the board, have the same language as the other places that their license could only continue until then, until we get basically their new license. Their times, they put actually when they open and close, which is not consistent with the village code. Last year, just so the board is aware, they operated, let me just turn to that if I might, Monday through Sunday, noon to midnight. Now they are asking for 2 a.m. on Friday and Saturday. This board has traditionally gone to 1 a.m. on Friday and Saturday. It's up to the board if you wish to do that. As I said, last year they were 12 to 12, 7 days a week. But if the board wanted to, they could do, you have in the past done 1 a.m. or Friday and Saturday nights. And again, this is an Arcadian. So just to point that out.
Perspective, we spent a lot of time saying that we want to be consistent across everybody, am I correct? Okay, oh, that was what that was, okay, 1 a.m.
Okay.
I don't know what the hell that.
So that's
Just the index.
that's 19th hole. Thank you for that.
Yeah, so you'll just let.
Yes. Next,
And Captain, we're gonna go through all of them, and then if you have comments, you'll just give it, like, if you have issues, is that okay with you?
Fine by me.
Okay.
next is Hudson Valley Books. Pleased to advise they have in fact received a New York State liquor license. It was
No kidding.
it was issued in September. And it is for food, basically serving wine, beer, and cider. And so their application is similar to last year's. They are looking again for an opening at 11 a.m. We wouldn't go till noon, which is under our code. The time, it would be Monday through Thursday, ending at 11 p.m., Friday and Saturday ending at I'm sure they mean 12 a.m., not 12 p.m., but that would be midnight, Sunday ending at 10 p.m. But that's a little bit more than last year when they were basically Monday through Sunday, 12 to 6 p.m. So they're looking to have a little bit.
But still
time,
within our
but still within what
parameters.
you have done in the past, and that's Hudson Valley Books.
Okay, so I think we're okay with that one, guys.
Last
Okay, until we hear
application-
from the captain, but
Last
just in general.
application is the Westchester Collaborative Theater. As I wrote to the board earlier today, is a little bit different because they will be getting single-day SLA licenses when they are having events. The reason they're not doing single-day cabaret licenses is under our code, you can only get 3. They're looking to 15 to 20 events. So it's actually cost-effective for them to get a cabaret license. And then they will get the day licenses. What that will mean is that their cabaret license will not have an expiration date on it. But what it will have on there is that they will be required before every event to provide the clerk with a copy of the same day license that they've gotten for the event that they're going to hold.
And I'm assuming that you've had all this conversation with all these folks, that they know that they're gonna do this.
Well, they don't know specifically that, but they know that they're going to have to do that because it's going to be in the license. And oh, by the way, everyone, all the applicants were notified that this is on tonight. They wanted to be here, they could. In terms of timing, their time is just 2 days a week, Friday and Saturday. Friday would be from 7 p.m. till 10:30 and Saturday from 2 p.m. until 10:30. But again, they're looking at approximately 15 to 20 events. And as I said, because of that, they themselves will not get a liquor license. They will get same-day licenses or one-day licenses from the SLA. Unlike the Village Cabaret licenses, the state does actually not really limit the number of single-day licenses they can issue for a business. So that's the way that WCT is going to operate. It would be for beer, wine, and cider when they get it. So that's basically Westchester Collaborative. Again, as I said, all 3 of these have gone through vetting processes. They've all been inspected. They've all passed the inspections. And if the captain has any comments.
Before that, did I miss liquor license HVBH? What is that? It's in.
That's Hudson Valley Books.
Oh, that's just the.
No, what I indicated was.
Oh, okay.
When their application was filed, they did not provide a copy of their liquor
Got
license.
it.
So it was separately provided yesterday.
Got it. Okay. Mr. Captain, any issues with any of these? Places?
No, I'm happy to say no negative interactions with any of those locations. Very happy to report.
Okay, we appreciate that. Okay. Thank you, sir.
Hey, thank you, Captain. Thank you, Stuart. And that concludes our work session for this evening.
And we don't have exec, or we could. Okay. All right. In that case. Everybody, I think is a yay on that, 9:31. Thank you, folks, for being here. We will see everybody next week at a legislative session. We're adjourned.